Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News, a recap of major stories within the week. I am Francis Oyima, Edit, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu breaks silence on 114% increase of salaries for president, others. NLC kicks against planned electricity tariff hike. Plus, US President Joe Biden calls religious pluralism core principle for India. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Tinubu, who has described Nigeria's financial system under the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has rotten. The president cited the difficulty in the flow of forex in and out of the country, saying it enriched a few people while impoverishing the vast majority of Nigerians. Tinubu's comments come 2 weeks after the suspension of the former CBN chief to pave the way for the investigation of his office and the planned reforms in the financial sector, as announced in a statement from the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Away from that, President Bola Tinubu has denied the approval of the purported 114% increase in the salaries of the President, Vice President, elected federal and state political office holders and judicial officers. Tinubu's special advisor on special duties, communication and strategy delegated before Tinubu for consideration. In another development, the Vice President Kashim Shettima within the week met with the co-chairman of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, the chairman of Dangote Foundation, Aliko Dangote, and members of the Nigerian Governors Forum behind closed doors at the State House, Abuja. The meeting is said to be part of engagement lined up for Gates' visit to Nigeria and the Niger Republic. Reports said the Bill and the Melinda Gates Foundation are currently working closely with communities and liaison, and also met with national and regional leaders to encourage them to make investments and advance policies that promote innovation and provide equitable opportunity despite challenging economic conditions, and had conversations with students and young leaders to gather insights and share perspectives on how science and innovation can accelerate positive change and contribute to a brighter outlook for Africa. Away from that, the federal government of Nigeria has approved the reopening of the semi-land border for the importation of vehicles. A director of road transport in the Ministry of Transportation, Ibrahim Musa, made the disclosure to newsmen. Musa spoke at the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS meeting organized between officials of Nigeria and Benin Republic, revealed that the development followed complaints by freight forwarders operating at the semi-border. In a separate development, Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar has assumed office as the 22nd Chief of Air Staff. Speaking at the handing and taking over ceremony, the former CAS Air Marshal Oludayo Mao said despite the challenges his tenure recorded many success. He urged his successor to ensure the service attained a greater height under his watch. We move to education, where the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria (TRCN) and the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) have said they're exploring means to strengthen collaborations to boost service delivery to Nigerians. TRCN's Registrar Josiah Jiboye said in a statement that the move was in tandem with interagency partnership in the Ministry of Education. The TRCN boss said the visit to the new 1,000-seater computer-based test CBT facilities built by the board in Kaduna was aimed at forging stronger partnership between TRCN and JAM with the formal usage of the new facilities for professional qualifying examinations and digital training programs. On electoral matters, a digital forensic expert, Hitler Nwaola, told the Presidential Election Petition Court (PEPC) in Abuja that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) deliberately deleted all the results of presidential elections from the bimodal voter accreditation system (VVAF) machines of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) under the guise of preparing for the March 18 governorship election. A forensic expert, who was the 26th witness for Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), in the February 25 poll, claimed to have inspected 110 BVAS devices used during the presidential polls in the FCT and insisted that all the machines he inspected had their data deliberately deleted. Nwaola maintained that during cross-examination by INEC's lawyer Abubakar Mahmood, it was unnecessary for the electoral body to have deleted the presidential election result data from BVAS machines used in the FCT because the FCT did not hold governorship elections. The witness, who was led in his evidence by Chris Uche, the lead counsel to the petitioners Atiku and PDP, told the court he examined 110 BVAS machines as sample materials from the FCT and submitted a report of his investigation carried out on the BVAS. The report was subsequently admitted as evidence and marked as exhibits, despite objections by the respondents in the matter. Thereafter, the petitioners tendered a certificate of compliance to indicate that the report had complied with the Evidence Act. In another development, the Nigerian Labour Congress has kicked against the alleged plan to increase electricity tariff by 40% on July 1, 2023. The Congress described the move as insensitive and callous, saying it reflected an organized indifference to the well-being of consumers, especially the poor ones. The NLC said this in a statement by its president, Comrade Joe Ajaro, in Abuja within the course of the week, advised the federal government to prioritize issues of welfare of Nigerians as against that of the few political class. Away from that, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, seized a total of 999.33 kilograms of drugs between June 2022 and June 2023 in Jigawa State. The Jigawa State Commandant of the agency, Muazu Aliyu, made this known at a press conference to commemorate the World Drug Day 2023. He said that the command also arrested a total of 422 suspected drug traffickers, comprised of 409 males and 13 females within the period. Ali further said that the command secured 94 convictions and counseled 186 drug addicts. The commandant said that while 15 persons were rehabilitated, 4 were still undergoing rehabilitation at the command's rehabilitation center. On food crisis, the United Nations has donated $20 million to help address challenges of food security and nutrition in northeast Nigeria. The HERD Public Information United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Nigeria, and WERU, disclosed the donation in a statement. WERU said the fund support was from the Central Response Fund and the Nigeria Humanitarian Fund. She noted that the CEF fund would be voucher support for 95,000 people who are extremely affected by food insecurity in 3 Borno towns. The humanitarian coordinator added that in support of government efforts, some 9 response aim at preventing a deterioration to famine or famine-like conditions. In a separate development, the Acting Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Ebetokun, has assumed office at the force headquarters in Abuja as the 22nd Inspector General of Police. Speaking during the official handing and taking over ceremony between him and the former IGP Usman Baba, Ebetokun said that much still needed to be done to improve policing in Nigeria, adding that he was aware of the enough policing work, warned police officers that he will not tolerate abuse of office, corruption and misconduct, saying commensurate stiff punishment awaits erring officers. While promising to secure their nation and to would strive in accountability to citizens, he appealed for cooperation and teamwork, promising to run a transparent and integrity-driven administration.
As I exit the leadership of the force today, I believe that I am leaving it better than I met it. I believe, as I exit the leadership of the force today, I believe that I am leaving it better than I met it. I believe that I have added value to policing in Nigeria. I hold the firm conviction that the steady progress has been made in all the components of my promise to change the policing narratives and in our journey to restore the dwindling police primacy
to overcome. As Inspector General of Police, I firmly believe that our path to a brighter future lies in collaboration, transparency, and the public trust in us, ensuring that they face the full force of the law. Additionally, we will actively promote a working culture that will encourage officers and citizens alike to report instances of corruption or abuse they may witness.
We move now to the market with a listing of the commodity for trade in Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange (LCFE). This is followed by a formal launch of 5 billion Eco Rice Forward Contract Program by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the floor of the Commodities Exchange Market (USC) building in Marina, marking a significant milestone in the state government's effort. The government-owned Lagos State Rice Company (LAS RICO) and Commodities TradeNet Limited is the first series of 30 billion private commodity notes issuance program facilitated by Lagos State government to ensure on this forward contract for Eco Rice became the first to be listed and traded in Nigeria's commodities exchange ecosystem.
For us to create an opportunity paddy rice supply where the exchange can leverage the platform to be able to get farmers right.
Lagos State have proven once again its capacity and foresighted.
For us,
we move to Cross River State, where Governor Senator Basio II has said the 14-year law and forest moratorium in the state would end soon. He said the state was losing revenue to illegal lodging activities going on in the state's rich forest, adding that unscrupulous elements are robbing the state of its legitimate in line with current trends. Meanwhile, the Cross River State Governor Basio II has ordered the immediate ban of all bache, stating that the ban followed due consultations with security chiefs in the state. The state government warned that anyone caught violating a directive will have their motorcycle impounded and the offender prosecuted. Our next stop is Ebonyi State, where the state government has vowed to fish out the killers of staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Igwe was killed by gunmen along Nku Enugu-Shago Ebonyi Road on Sunday, and his wife, who was traveling in the same car with him. The Commissioner of Information and State Orientation, Jude Opor, disclosed this within the week during his maiden State Executive Council briefing. Along major roads, streets, junctions, pedestrians, walkways, and access roads leading to markets around the Uyom, signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Prince Enobong Uwa, to protect the larger majority of road users who are daily slowed down by activities of the illegal street traders who also litter the road users, noting that government will no longer condone the excess of these unauthorized display of occasion. All activities involving buying and selling are taken off the roads and into the markets designed for such activities. According to the statement, the government has also directed the relevant security agencies and market leaders to collaborate and deal decisively with the erring street traders, as sanity must be returned to the curbing the menace of street trading around the market within the metropolis. has directed that all illegal traders be taken off the rotary of the state government. Prince Enobong Uwa, the governor, listed the dangers posed by street traders to both the traders, which include accidents which may lead to loss of life and properties, obstruction of traffic, as well as the aesthetic beauty. We move now to Africa, where Kenyan President William Ruto has backed Trade Minister Moses Kuria for threatening and media house over its export of cooking oils after the report which alleged that certain private firms were allowed by his ministry to import emergency relief goods, with the entire deal potentially leading to the loss of more than $100 million. And still to come in the news, Bank of England hikes interest rate to 5%. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. We move to Kenya, where President's security team have been injured after their car rolled over on a road in the Rift Valley district of Navisha at an event to flag off the WRC Safari Rally competition. Ruto is said not to have been in the motorcade as he had flown by helicopter. It was not clear what caused the accident, but witnesses told local media. Still in Kenya, members of parliament have voted in favor of doubling of the value-added tax VAT levied on fuel to 16%, with 184 approving the clause with a new financial bill, while 88 lawmakers opposed it. The government, which is reportedly looking to raise about 50 billion Kenyan shillings from the additional tax, has defended the move as necessary, terming the decision to push ahead with the fuel tax clause as the saddest day in the history of the country. Forces named to defraud the public. It said messages purporting to be sent by the president have been circulating. According to the presidency, The president does not request any funds or endorse any payments or contracts between third parties. Anyone who has received communications of such nature from the president or the presidency should terminate all future contact with the scammers. After a fire broke out in a residential building where they had been left unattended and locked inside an apartment. The blaze in the inner city area of Hillbrow began on Wednesday afternoon. Quarters often moved into old and abandoned buildings in the area, which colloquially are said to have been hijacked. Meanwhile, Mayor Cabello Ogwamanda visited the scene later in the evening, commending firefighters for their efforts and saying Hillbrow's old buildings did not meet health and safety standards. In a gentle nudge as he welcomed India's Hindu nationalist Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi has faced criticism over the rights of religious minorities in India, with rights groups alleging a blind eye to vigilante violence against Muslims and Christians. Biden and Modi, however, inches from a rising China.
Tolerance, diversity. India now has the most populous country, is now the most populous country in the world. It's a democracy. We understand that it is the brilliance and the backbone of our people, as diverse and talents and traditions that make the Indian American community of more than 4 million strong contributes every single day to the writing of the future of our nation. Indian Americans of every background and faith representing the full diversity, that makes us all stronger. That is a cornerstone of this essential partnership between India and the United States. And that is why I know the friendship between our nations is only going to grow as we face the future together. Mr. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
The Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicle UAV attack near a military base outside of Moscow. While the Russian Ministry of Defense disclosed in a statement that it is, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, there were no casualties or damage resulting from the attack. Meanwhile, Israel in its war in Ukraine. In an annual report, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he was up 477 children were killed in Ukraine last year, including 136 dead and were maimed. 518 of them by Russian forces and proxy groups, and 175 rights organizations. Israel was not added to the shame list for how it treats children in its fight. Nuclear watchdog has said that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southern Ukraine will use. The International Atomic Energy Agency noted that for the past 2 weeks, Europe's largest nuclear power plant, NPP, has received the cooling water it needs from the reserves held by the fragile security situation around the plant, and the dam's collapse has added to the difficulties of the facility. In a bid to boost tourism to the country, according to reports, Taiwan's borders were sealed off from travelers for 2 years during the pandemic, meaning the hospitality of a Chinese invasion. Still on the foreign scene, King Charles III, along with his wife Queen Camilla, recorded the first win at Royal Ascot since he succeeded tears away in the royal box as Tom McQuaid got their horse past Valiant King to take the honours. They descended from the box to the winners and then accepted the trophy from the Duke of Kent, with Princess Anne and her daughter Zara Tyndall looking on. Meanwhile, campaigners have climate concerns. The body that manages the church's £10.3 billion endowment fund excluded 20 companies from its list of Mobil, Shell and Total Energies after assessing that none was meeting the goals of the 2015 UN Climate Accord to tackle global warming. Through a barbecue restaurant in northwestern Chinese city of Yingchang, out and socialized with friends. The explosion took place around 12:40 GMT at the Meanwhile, footage on state broadcaster CCTV showed more than a dozen firefighters working at the site as smoke poured out of a gaping. And to wrap up our foreign news, Turkey has reportedly hiked its main interest rate from 8.5% to 15%, was far lower than what economists were expecting, but it marked a major shift in policy by insisted on keeping interest rate down, noting that inflation is almost 40% and talks are in the grip of a cost of living. England BOE surprised many investors by raising interest rates half a percentage point on Thursday, saying there had been significant news suggesting Britain's persistently high inflation would 7.2 to raise its main interest rate from 4.5% to 5%, the highest since 2008 and its largest increase since week had expected a move to 4.75%, although investors had priced in a nearly 50% chance of a rise to 5% following Wednesday's inflation surprise. Joseph Little, global chief strategist, by the cost of living crisis, but also a shortage of workers and fast rising wages.
Today, we've raised interest rates to 5%. We've taken this decision because inflation and unemployment is very low. But recent data have shown us that further decisive action is needed in order to be sure we get inflation back down. And that's why we've acted today about what these changes mean for them. But if we don't raise rates now, high inflation could stay with us for longer. And inflation hits all of us. Today, we've raised interest rates to 5%. We've taken this decision because, unfortunately, inflation is still too high.
On electricity, the 247.33 billion naira on power supply in the first quarter of 2023. They surpassed the 204.74 billion naira that DISCOs generated from electricity supply. Further look into the revenue generated by DISCO from their customers between 2022 to the first quarter of 2023 showed that the highest turnover within the review period was the 204.7 billion naira in the first quarter of last year, 188.41 billion naira in quarter 2 of 2020, recorded 232.32 billion naira. On reactions to the fuel subsidy removal inflation rate, the company, in a statement by Tope Akinwumi, country manager for Nigeria, said the fare adjustment is designed to help drivers cover rising operation costs, and it's part of the ongoing efforts to support their driver community. The company also said that it is constantly monitoring locals directly through roundtables, surveys, phone and in-app channels to better understand and receive feedbacks on the realities they face in their businesses. And still to come in the news, International Boxing Association stripped by International Olympic Committee of status. To stay with us.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security, education, health, lifestyle, and so more. Exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you
with some of the killings he did?
He never did.
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Sunday, 2:30 to 3 p.m. on Channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying with us. We move on to wrap up our news stories. In how the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, in Lagos made public its finding on the investigation into the presence of ethylene oxide or its metabolite in noodles, and journalists in Lagos said ethylene oxide or its derivative was not found in any of the instant noodles produced in Nigeria and their seasonings. NAFDAC investigation was occasioned by the recalls of Indomie instant noodles special chicken flavor by the Ministries of Health in Malaysia and Taiwan on account of the alleged presence of ethylene oxide, a compound associated with an increased risk of cancer. Still in health, a registered dietitian nutritionist dangerous impact on the well-being and survival of children, stressing that beside making children more susceptible to diseases and infections, nutrition experts said malnutrition slows wound healing and delays the recovery of children suffering from infections. Speaking with newsmen, she warned against ignoring the consequences of malnutrition in children, noting that malnutrition is a serious public health problem and leads to stunting in children. Help 30 million children suffering from acute malnutrition before it's too late in countries being hammered by the food crisis. UN agencies said conflict, climate shock, the COVID-19 pandemic, and rising living costs were leaving an increasing number of children badly malnourished. Association's IBA recognition as the global body for the sport was stripped on Thursday by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, due to its failure to complete reforms on governance, finance, and ethical issues. The IOC to withdraw the IBA's recognition. Reports say the IBA described the decision as a tremendous error, tried to have it blocked through an urgent appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but the finance, refereeing, and ethical issues, and did not involve it in running the boxing event as at Tokyo Olympics. Meanwhile, world number 2 over at the German Open. The top-seeded Belarusian lost 6-2, 7-6, 7-2 to the Russian wildcat in the second round in Berlin. Sabalenka lost on Wednesday. Reports say American 5th seed Coco Gauff is also out after a straight-set defeat as Russia's Ekaterina Alexandrovka, who won the Libima Open last week, claimed 11 of the last 12 games to secure an impressive first since the semi-final of the French Open, as the 25-year-old did not compete at SW19 last year after the All England club banned Russian and Belarusian players following the invasion of Ukraine. Away from that, Kyle Kuzma has decided to enter the free agency market and will become a free agent. Teams are expected to battle for Kuzma's services after he posted career-high scoring numbers for the Wizards last season. Reports say while the 27-year-old has yet to make an all-star team, he's one of the best players to hit free agency steals and 0.5 blocks per game for Washington last campaign per ESPN. Away from that, Super Eagles, the game comes up on Sunday, 6th August inside the King Power Stadium. This was confirmed on Leicester official website on Thursday. Leicester, who last played in the championship in 2013-2014 when they were crowned champions. The Foxes will then face Huddersfield Town away from home in their second league game on Saturday, 12 August, before playing Cardiff City at Kings Power Stadium on Saturday, 19th August. Charles Emeka Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy, has threatened a lawsuit against his former record label, Premier Records Limited, over dated June 19, 2023, claimed the record label violated the terms of their agreement rights to his musical works. Meanwhile, American rapper Travis Scott is trending on the Nigerian social media space over pictures and videos of him in Kano State. According to the reports, the US rapper is in Nigeria for a music video, which is for an unreleased song featuring Rema. A video and picture shared by the We move to superstar Nigerian singer Ayodeji Balogun, well known as, to release his album More Love, Less Ego earlier this month. However, it seems that might not hold. A father of three took to his Instagram page to make it known that indeed the fans will be getting new music.
Very excited about it. The album is done. Yeah.
Let's go around.
I'm excited. Yeah, this is the first of 6 pieces that I'm making this year.
Wow.
And yeah, the start of my jury life.
Of Kevin Costner is asking the actor to provide $248,000 a month in child support for their 3 teenage children. In a declaration filed on June 16 to Santa Barbara County Superior Court, a signed first-person declaration from Christian Blur's activities and healthcare expenses. Reports say Costner and Dragona shared 3 children: Cardin, 16, Hayes, 14, and Grace, 13. In a declaration, meanwhile, in a personal declaration filed on June 9, Costner said that Baguna has refused to move out of his home since filing for divorce on May 1, 2023. He said that prior to getting married, Baguna and he both signed. Finally, on our entertainment news, famous American singer Beyonce Knowles Qatar has the escalating cause of living crisis. The restaurant names Chukwu's, which claims to be the world's first Nigerian tapas restaurant, is operated by 2 siblings, Emeka and Ifeyinwa Frederick. Reports say A-list celebrities, footballers, and everyday. The global icon, who recently sold out 5 consecutive shows at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, extended philanthropic efforts to support local businesses in London. Find on our website spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News, a recap of major stories within the week. I am Francis Oyima, edit. Many thanks for being there, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.